Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. This is Lifestyle Critic, where we break down movies and TV shows into their core elements. And in this video we are going to be reviewing Twilight, which is the first film in the incredibly successful romantic fantasy genre Twilight Saga, which really made vampires really cool. I mean, the first film is all about setting up the world, setting up the characters, and was a faithful adaptation of the novel of the same name by Stephanie Meyer. It also shot up the careers of certain cast members into true stardom, most noticeably Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. But anyway, from a Twilight point of view, I cannot wait to break it down for you in this movie review. So from a storyline point of view, the film is narrated and is centered around the lead character called Bella Swan, who in this movie is moving into a small town called Forks, where she becomes infatuated by the reclusive Cullen clan, and in particular with Edward Cullen. She soon quickly learns that they are actually vampires and becomes even more obsessed with them. A dangerous situation then looms as unknown vampires are entering into the area and want to kill Bella. The film then explores the growing romance between Edward and with Bella, and whether or not she can actually survive this dangerous situation. So from a cast and characters point of view, the Twilight Saga has always boasted a really great group of actors. Even though the Twilight Saga may not necessarily show them in the best light in terms of their acting pedigree, the cast associated with the project is always pretty decent, so let's go through them one by one. So first up, we have Robert Pattinson, who is always the best actor from all of them in the Twilight Saga. Even though he has some really cringy dialogue in this film, the Edward Cullen character is always really conflicted and is a really interesting vampire character. Next up we have the main lead character, Bella Swan, who the whole narration and the story is from her perspective. There is another book called Midnight Sun which tells the same story but from Edward's perspective, but at least in this film it is told from Bella's perspective. Her acting did get a lot better over time, but in the first film, well, in all of the films, she's just really obsessed with vampires and with the Edward Cullen clan and with the Edward Cullen character. Next up we have Taylor Lautner, who plays Jacob in this film. He makes a few appearances, kind of blink and you missed it in this film. Obviously this character gets a lot more prominent in the future installments, but at least in this film we're introduced to this other friend that Bella's got. Next up we have Billy Burke, who plays Charlie, who is Bella's father character. I feel like they always could have and should have done a lot more, as they had such a great actor in Billy Burke, and the character could have been really great, but at least in this movie he's very protective over the Bella character. Next up we have Ashley Greene and Nikki who are playing the sister characters to the Edward Cullen character. Again, these characters got a lot more prominent in future installments, but at least we're introduced to them in this movie. Next up we have Gigandet, who plays the main villain, the evil, dangerous vampire James in this movie. His character as well, his presence is felt in future installments, in particular Eclipse, which is really centered around what happens to this character at the end of this movie. Gigandet has played a lot of villain characters, and in this film he is playing another one. And finally we have Kendrick, who is playing friend/jealous friend to the Bella Swan character. So from a casting characters point of view, they have actually got really great names associated with the movie. So from a visuals point of view, even though this movie was made over 10 years ago, it has stood the test of time, as some of the visuals in this film actually look pretty decent. I mean, some of the fight sequences, especially the one right at the end of the movie in a bit of a warehouse situation, looked really cool. All of the mansion scenes in the Cullen household looks really impressive as well. And all of the vampire scenes look really believable. And so from a visuals point of view, this film really does come alive in Twilight. So from a comparison point of view, if we are to look at all of the 5 movies from the Twilight Saga, which by the way is incredibly cheesy and is incredibly cringy at certain moments, I would say that this movie is miles better than New Moon, which was a really bad entry in the franchise. I would also say it's slightly better than Breaking Dawn Part 1, which didn't really have that much going on in that movie, so I'd say Twilight is a lot better than those ones. It is really introductory, and I would say it's absolutely hilarious when you compare it to Vampire Suck, which totally makes fun of this movie and totally rips it to shreds. It was also the film that kicked off the massively successful Vampire Diaries TV franchise, but in terms of talking about other movie franchises, I would say it's nowhere near as good as the Harry Potter franchise or the Lord of the Rings franchise as well. So overall, I would say, the Twilight Saga does have some highs and does have some lows, I would say the first entry into the franchise is pretty decent. It is really good in terms of introducing the audience into the world, into all of the different characters, and really setting everything up for all of the future installments. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Twilight, the first movie in the franchise, a solid 5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.